As the United States intensifies its crackdown on China, 32 Apple contract manufacturers in China have been expelled from the supply chain. Recently, Changshuo Technology, Apple's largest contract manufacturer in Shanghai, has decided to close its Shanghai factory and relocate some of its production capacity overseas. Reports indicate that Changshuo, being the largest contract manufacturer in Shanghai, has experienced a significant decline in orders since 2023. Hey, this is at Changshuo. Lately, we haven't had to do any overtime, and more people are quitting. Look around, there's a whole bunch of folks waiting to leave. See? So many people are here just to sort out their resignation paperwork. Just look how many there are. Due to the lack of sufficient orders, since last year, most workers at Changshuo have been working less than 5 hours a day, with monthly salaries plummeting from over 10,000 yuan to 3,000 yuan, which is about $417. Internal staff revealed that the factory primarily operates on a piece rate pay system, leading to decreased earnings and a high rate of resignations due to the reduced workload. An employee shared, "Let me fill you in on something today. A lot of people in the factory got their pay and just left. I was downstairs just now and saw them dealing with accommodations after resigning. I'm thinking of sticking around a bit longer to see how things go. It's not like you can make much here anymore, just over 2,000 yuan a month. Obviously, a lot of people are going to choose to leave. No one's saying they want to keep at it. I also caught wind of some holiday news. Some say we're getting a month off, others say 15 days, and there are those who say 2 months. I really don't know what to do with myself anymore." Over 20 years ago, China attracted numerous overseas enterprises to establish factories on the mainland, thanks to its policies and cheap labor force, with Changshuo being one of them. In 2004, Changshuo invested in Shanghai's Pudong New area, mainly assembling Apple's iPhones and laptops. Dubbed a mini Foxconn, it boasted 100,000 employees and 8 production lines. Since its inception, it has invested up to 12 billion yuan over 20 years, contributing approximately 10% of Shanghai's GDP annually and consistently ranking among the top 3 in profitability. Although slightly behind Foxconn, Changshuo has been one of the key contract manufacturers for Apple. However, in recent years, the once seemingly promising Changshuo has been plagued with negative news. In October 2022, during what should have been its busiest month, Changshuo announced a temporary halt in recruiting. A visit by a reporter from a mainland technology media described the factory's recruitment corridor as deserted. Security at the factory confirmed it has become relatively idle and has stopped hiring. Some employees reported that during busy periods, their monthly income could reach 7,000 to 8,000 yuan, but it has fallen to 3,000 to 4,000 yuan, with working hours reduced from 12 to 8 hours per day and rest days increased from 1 to 2 days a week. 1 month after halting recruitment, Luxshare Precision, another major supply chain company for Apple, acquired part of Changshuo's facilities in Shanghai's Kangqiao Industrial Zone. Reports have shown that in recent years, Luxshare Precision has seen rapid growth by continuously integrating into Apple's supply chain. From halting recruitment to being acquired and then shutting down production lines, how did a giant factory with over 100,000 employees and 8 production lines at its peak come to this state? What exactly went wrong? Economists believe that Changshuo's closure is not just a simple shutdown, but a major adjustment by Apple to its global supply chain layout. During Apple CEO Tim Cook's second visit to China in October 2023, he expressed hopes for a win-win with the Chinese supply chain. However, upon returning to the United States, he significantly increased the 2024 iPhone production capacity plan in India from the originally expected 13% to 25%. With Apple actively moving iPhone manufacturing out of China, India has quickly become a popular destination. In May 2023, Apple's second quarter financial report, from January to March, showed that iPhone sales exceeded Wall Street analysts' expectations, driving higher sales and revenue. In March, Apple achieved a record sales figure in India, nearing $6 billion, reflecting Apple's increasing reliance on the Indian market for overall growth. Cook highlighted a quarterly record in India, achieving very strong double-digit year-over-year growth. He also mentioned during a conference call that many Indians are entering the middle class, marking a significant turning point for India in showcasing the market's incredible vitality. After announcing the financial results, Cook and his deputies mentioned India approximately 20 times during the conference call. Apple's strategy in China is not only about selling products, but also about making India an important manufacturing hub as part of diversifying its supply chain to reduce reliance on China. As tensions between the US and China continue to escalate, Apple and its major suppliers have been shifting production out of China. Since 2022, India has allowed Apple's Chinese component suppliers to set up business after securing local partners. Meanwhile, the Wall Street Journal reported that Taiwanese tech giant and major Apple manufacturer Foxconn Technology Group is considering a significant expansion in India, including increasing the number of iPhones assembled there by millions and establishing new production facilities. Insiders revealed that Foxconn plans to expand iPhone production at its existing factory near Tamil Nadu as one of India's largest states. According to government officials, the factory's current output is around 6 million units, with Foxconn aiming to increase the local iPhone annual production to about 20 million units by 2024 and doubling the workforce to 100,000. In November 2023, Foxconn also planned to add $1.54 billion in investment in India to meet operational needs, seeking to diversify its production bases and reduce dependence on China. New Delhi has also been actively offering substantial financial incentives to attract global companies to establish manufacturing operations in India. Indian Minister of Commerce and Industry Piyush Goyal stated that Apple's goal is to produce 25% of its iPhones in India. Analysts believe that India has become Apple's new production base. Digitime's research from Taiwan's semiconductor, electronics, computer, and communications industries predicted that by 2027, India could assemble up to 50% of Apple's iPhones, matching China's production scale. Gene Munster, managing partner of Deepwater Asset Management, told CNBC that Cook is laying the groundwork for India to be bigger or even bigger than China. As a follower of Foxconn's footsteps, Changshuo, Apple's partner in mainland China, has naturally seen a gradual decrease in orders. Now, Changshuo has also begun to follow in Apple's footsteps by entering India, preparing to establish a production base there. In September 2022, Changshuo took a significant step by hiring about 7,000 employees in India, and by November 2023, they officially began the assembly work for the iPhone 14 for Apple in India. Moreover, in an effort to build an ecosystem and source components locally, Apple has turned its attention to batteries for iPhones manufactured in India. Apple hopes to produce batteries for its latest generation, the iPhone 16, in India as part of the American tech giant's efforts to diversify its global supply chain and move manufacturing out of China. However, another investigation found that Changshuo's closure is also related to the decline in sales of Apple products in the Chinese market. There is information suggesting that Apple is adjusting its strategy to gradually implement a policy where iPhones produced in Chinese factories are only for the Chinese market. Therefore, the reduction in Apple's market sales in China inevitably leads to a decrease in iPhone orders in China. A report by Counterpoint, a global industry analysis company based in Hong Kong, stated that in 2022, the overall sales volume of smartphones in China shrank by 14% year over year. Each quarter, the decline in Chinese smartphone sales remained in the double digits, reaching a 15% drop in the fourth quarter. In the last month of 2022, the sudden abandonment of the dynamic zero-COVID policy, leading to a pandemic tsunami, caused a 5% point contraction in the smartphone market, marking the largest quarterly decline of the year. This tsunami also affected Apple's sales in China. According to Bloomberg News, citing a report by the international investment bank Jefferies, Apple's iPhone sales in China declined slightly by 3% in 2023. However, in the first week of 2024, sales plummeted by 30% compared to the same period last year, even though the e-commerce platform Pinduoduo offered discounts of up to 16% for the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max series, which consumers still did not buy. In response, at the beginning of this year, Apple was forced to lower its phone prices to boost sales. From January 18th to the 21st, 2024, Apple unusually launched a 4-day Chinese New Year discount promotion, offering about a 5% discount on its latest model, the iPhone 15, which had been on the market for only 4 months. Products such as computers, tablets, and watches were offered with discounts of up to 800 yuan, about $110. Counterpoint Research believes that this phenomenon is mainly due to the difficult macroeconomic situation and the drag on the economy and people's livelihood caused by the Chinese government's extreme anti-epidemic measures. Since the spring of 2022, many cities in China have implemented various degrees of lockdown and other anti-epidemic measures, negatively affecting the economy and consumer sentiment, which has also impacted smartphone sales to some extent. Regarding the promotional activities, the discussions among consumers on the Douyin platform in China were quite lively, with one post attracting up to 140,000 comments. Some netizens shared that they had just bought a 512GB iPhone 15 Pro Max for only 4,888 yuan, about $680, including a tote bag as a gift. Other Douyin users complained that they had purchased the iPhone 15 too early, spending 9,700 yuan, about $1,350, for a similar specification. Some Chinese netizens are still hesitant, hoping for further price drops. Surveys found that after significant price discounts, Apple attracted more consumers, creating new revenue records despite the overall industry tightening. However, a considerable number of netizens said that even though the iPhone 15's price had been reduced to this level, it was still too expensive and unaffordable. It is evident that as more consumers reduce their spending, the sales of Apple's premium products becomes increasingly difficult, complicating its situation. Therefore, the lower-priced smartphones launched by Chinese manufacturers are becoming more attractive to consumers. Consequently, the competition for Apple's iPhones in China is becoming fiercer, affecting Changshuo's growth. According to statistics from the market research firm BCI, cited by mainland media on January 14, 2023, China sold a total of 270 million smartphones, with the top 6 brands being Apple, Vivo, Oppo, Honor, Xiaomi, and Huawei, accounting for 91.5% of the market. Apple led with a 17.1% market share, closely followed by Vivo and Oppo with 16.7% and 16% respectively. Huawei, after launching the Mate 60 series, ranked as the 6th largest smartphone brand in China with an 11.9% market share. In 2022, the top 3 companies in the Chinese market were Vivo Communication Technology with a market share of 19.2%. Apple and Oppo were the second and third with market shares of 18% and 17.5% respectively. Among these brands, except for Apple, all others are Chinese domestic smartphone brands. Surveys show that Apple's competitors such as Oppo, Huawei, and Xiaomi mostly dominate with their lower prices. Guoming Qi, an analyst at Tianfeng International, stated that the shipment volume of Android smartphones in the Chinese market showed stable year-over-year growth in the same period this year due to the low base of sales in the first quarter of 2023, especially for models priced between 3,000 and 4,000 yuan, where demand is recovering. Some commentators noted that the price range for mid to high-end smartphones in the Chinese market is around 4,000 yuan, about $555, which is very suitable for those not seeking high-quality phones. Sam Reynolds, a technology analyst based in Taipei, also believes that Android products from Oppo, OnePlus, and Huawei are more economical in similar price ranges. Therefore, the low price advantage of these brands pose severe pressure on Apple's sales, increasing the pressure on Apple to clear inventory this year. Guo Tianxiang, a senior researcher at the International Data Corporation (IDC) in Beijing, stated that the upgrades to the iPhone 15 series have limited appeal to Chinese consumers. Additionally, the competitiveness of flagship models from Chinese domestic brands such as Huawei's Mate 60, Xiaomi's 14 series, Vivo's X100 series, and Honor's folding screen series has put considerable pressure on Apple's market performance. Consequently, analysts from Jefferies Group predict that the iPhone may continue to experience a double-digit decline this year. On another note, Apple's sales have been impacted due to political reasons. The Wall Street Journal reported in 2023 that insiders stated the Chinese Communist Party has directed officials of central government agencies not to use Apple's iPhone and other foreign brand devices at work or bring them into offices. Bloomberg News also noted that insiders familiar with the matter mentioned that numerous government departments and state-owned enterprises across at least 8 relatively affluent coastal provinces were instructed around December to use domestic brand phones. Bloomberg believes that this incident indicates Beijing is accelerating its move away from American technology, coinciding with a resurgence in popularity for domestic brand Huawei phones. However, the CCP's restriction on employees using foreign technology is not new. Reports have indicated that more than a decade ago, the CCP discouraged officials from using foreign mobile phones, and government agencies were required to replace American brand computer servers and other equipment with domestically produced devices. It is currently unclear how many government departments have issued such directives and how widespread they are. Different organizations might vary in their enthusiasm for implementing internal directives, with some possibly prohibiting the use of Apple iPhones at work while others might enforce a complete ban. In fact, not only Apple, but also major brands like Dell, Samsung, Nike, and Adidas have been moving their factories from mainland China to Southeast Asia, and Google has announced its plans to assemble its Pixel smartphones in India. Numerous companies are betting on turning India into a global manufacturing hub to reduce reliance on China, a strategy analysts often refer to as a China Plus One strategy. This indicates a shift in China's position as the world's factory. However, with Foxconn and Changshuo's departure, over 100,000 workers are facing unemployment challenges. Given China's current economic backdrop, what does the future hold for these masses of unemployed individuals?